It's safe to say that landscape architecture has gone through some massive changes in the last few years. There has, unfortunately, been a lot of major events in the last few years, as well as some really amazing technological advances that has led us to this really unique crossroads and opportunity in the field looking at the next decade. So, what is this unique opportunity I'm talking about? Well, let's discuss. So as I said in the intro, the two main driving factors that are changing our profession in our field for the future is the result of COVID-19 and the technological advancements that we're making seemingly every day. So let's start by talking about COVID-19 and what the impacts meant for landscape architects and how it could have potentially changed and made a bigger case for our role in societies. Now, of course, COVID-19 has been the worst thing that has happened by far in my lifetime, in my 24 years of existence. It's just been a global catastrophe, and it has affected so many people across the world. And it forced a lot of people back into their homes in isolation and really changed a lot about the way people think and how we're viewing our world. And more specifically, one of the bigger impacts it had was how people thought about how we can gather, how we can spend time together, and where we're going to be able to spend time together. Because for the first time in my adult life, we have gone through a dramatic shift in how we gather. It's always been about indoor venues and indoor events. And now with COVID, that's all shifted towards being able to happen outside. And that's because things like restaurants, venues, concerts, all sorts of things in terms of gathering were no longer considered safe indoors. And the only real solution that we knew of at the time was to shift things outdoors so that they can be spaced out and the air can flow freely. Naturally, this left a massive gap in our understanding of how we gather, and people had started to naturally shift towards the outside to start meeting with people. So the new way people went to pass time, meet with friends, hang out, was by spending it outdoors. So now all of a sudden, people all across the world were now reconnecting with nature in new ways and in ways they haven't before or haven't in a very long time, which led to this really skyrocketing demand in landscape architecture, in open space, in community space. This basically created the perfect storm for us landscape architects. Because now, more than ever, people all across the world were looking at us to solve their problems. They were looking at us to create amenities, open space, and places to gather for people during these really tough times. And with this new spotlight on us, we were able to not only make better places and better spaces for people, but we're able to finally have a bigger say on how we're rethinking communities, spatial organization, mitigating climate change, and all of those other things that come within our field. And thankfully enough, we've been able to do this really successfully over the last few years, and it's helped millions of people help move on, cope, and deal with this horrible virus and infection. Now, of course, COVID has gone on for a few years now, and eventually we're going to move back, and we're starting to move back to the pre-pandemic times where indoor venues and all those things are totally normal. So you would think that this boom is going to end, but I think it's doing just the opposite based on how people viewed and reacted to this movement back into outdoor spaces. Because many people have just realized how great it is to be out in nature again and how valuable our space and our open space is for people in need and for people who need to gather. So our role has not swayed at all, and we've only been getting increasing demand in our local governments, in our regional governments, and statewide governments to continue to make better open spaces and designs for people down the road. I mean, every day now, cities, countries, and globally, people are creating and signing on to these long projects to help improve many different things and many different aspects of people's lives. From new green deals to new parks, things are changing. The way we're viewing our cities, the way we're viewing public transportation and public engagement are changing. The way our streets are laid out, how much open space there is, all of those things are quickly changing, and it's all a result of us having a bigger presence and a bigger say in the world. So because of COVID, we're finally kind of thrown into the fire in a way and have a real opportunity to leave a lasting impact on our world, our country, our state, our town for many years, many decades to come. So I think it's finally time for us landscape architects to cement our legacy and to really prove to everyone what landscape architecture is, and that it's more than just picking plants, picking trees, where they go, and picking out outdoor furniture. So in summary, I'm saying that the result of COVID-19 will and has inevitably led us down to this new crossroads of new ideas and new avenues that will have us having a bigger role in mitigating climate change, in restoration projects, improving cities, towns, quality of life. All of those things are going to be more of an increasing role for us moving forward. And of course, our end goal, which is any landscape architect's goal, is to bring people closer to nature and to bring communities and people back together to share common interests. Now, like I said earlier, COVID-19 isn't the only thing that is shaping our future and is changing the way we are doing things. I've already touched on this a little bit, but it's going to be our role, an increasing role in mitigating climate change and landscape conservation and landscape restoration. And that's because unless you've been living under a rock for the last 2 decades, you know that there is an increasing demand to figure out how to help save the planet and move on and make proper adjustments to have a better and lengthened quality of life for our climate. Because let's be honest, there are a lot of issues that we are going to be facing in the future, and landscape architects can play a key role in how we can help out and help push a better narrative moving forward. So, for example, conserving and restoring natural systems is important in sequestering carbon, as we can store much more carbon in our coastal cities and our coastal regions than we could in forests. And as we know from history, that our cities and most populated areas in the world are all coastal towns and in coastal areas. Naturally, this leads to a lot of work that local and regional landscape architects are doing, because they're going to be involved in all of these city projects and all of these town projects near all of these coastal regions. And one of the major ways that a landscape architect can help fight and combat this is through our use of planting in our soil profiles. Because if we can increase biodiversity, then we can help provide better systems for humans and for animals. Now, obviously, on paper, this sounds very straightforward, seems very doable, but one of the common problems that landscape architects face is the value engineering process. And dirt, plants, anything that essentially people can't really interact with or see necessarily is going to be an item that will be VE'd, because to the marketers, the developers, that's not getting them anything in terms of dollars. So you can see that as a landscape architect, we need to do a better job at making sure those things are being in place and making sure that we are including those standards moving forward. So this, of course, is just an example, but I think in the following years, we're going to be playing a key role in the bridge between ecologists and biologists and marketers, developers, and how to get things that we know are good for the environment actually signed on and approved from the developer to actually be built, and make sure that they're built in every new project. And on the flip side, knowledge in soils, plants, and restoration is going to be increasingly demanding for a landscape architect. This should be anyone's goal within landscape architecture to learn more about anyways, but basically what I'm saying here is that for the first time in a while, there might be a lot more of jobs and more demand in these fields within climate change or ecological restoration, conservation efforts, restoration efforts, that there weren't before. Because I think a lot of people within the field are very interested in those things, but oftentimes there just isn't that many firms that do it, or there's not that many firms that are interested in it because it's not the greatest moneymaker or machine as working on these other projects. But I think moving forward, it's going to be a better field and a better niche within our field. So I think if you have an interest in this specific part of the field, to double down on it right now and think about how you can maybe get your foot in the door in a place like this, because they may be a really pivotal role in the future on helping with these efforts. Now, the final thing that is going to impact our future is the constant advancement of technology we've seen in the last decade, and especially in the new kind of discoveries within AI. Now, for starters, there's more and more applications and websites that are helping things be more streamlined, and be more consistent. Now, these are allowing us as designers to ensure solutions to things like ADA accessibility, biodiversity, biomass, stormwater management, all of those things, soil volume, green area ratio, all of those things are being much more standardized and curated so that it makes it a lot easier for us to do. So it's making a major obstacle of making LEED certified projects or all of these different certifications that are great for the environment a lot easier, because oftentimes it gets cut because it's too hard to do, takes too much time to learn. You have to learn in the office, but with people going out and making the tools and the inputs already set up, you just input information and it gives you suggestions. It's making things so much easier for us. So knowledge in things like coding and how to build websites is going to be really great for us, and it's going to really help all of us push forward as designers and help be better about designing for the environment than ever before. But perhaps the biggest thing that's going to shape and change our future is the advancement in artificial intelligence. It seems like every day now we are seeing more groundbreaking ideas and groundbreaking initiatives on AI, and it seems like it's just really going to change the world. Now, like many people, I fear AI a little bit. I have this back of my mind movie of iRobot that I don't want to happen, but essentially it seems like it's becoming more and more of a reality for us. And of course, this advancement is not going to neglect landscape architecture. So for example, as a landscape architect, we go through the design process, which is a long sequence of site analysis, site history, and knowledge that we're gaining for a few months, maybe some years, and then we're making a highly educated decision on what the design for the future will be and how that future will look for this site. But with the advancements of AI and with the advancements of computer-gained knowledge, this could become a thing of the past for us. Because with machine learning, the machine will be able to essentially master the site, know all of its history, know the region, all of the region's history, and be able to take the millions of informational nodes that it can gather to make the best informed decision and see 10 different solutions for the problem at hand. Which of course sounds great, and if you use this in tandem with an actual person, you would think you would get truly amazing projects, and I bet you will get truly amazing projects out of this result. But I think many people in the profession are fearing that this will kind of eliminate creativity and new ideas as the machine is mastering knowledge and making the best effort. So you're only going to get kind of a few amount of solutions every single time, and there's not really the new leading cutting edge ideas because they're only going off what exists. Now, to be honest, machine learning is already moving really fast, but I'm not sure how fast it will be picked up in the design world, as for one, designers don't like to pick up new tools as it is because it's a huge investment and takes a long time for people to learn. So it might be some time before we see that, but I'm not going to be surprised if we see that in the next year and some people testing it out. But I definitely know for certain that AI and technology is going to increase in popularity over the next 5 to 10 years, and we should expect to see AI and machine learning to play a key role in us in the future. So, what do you think the future holds for landscape architecture, and what do you think are you most excited for going forward? I'd love to get a conversation going about what you guys are thinking about in the future, and I'm really interested to see what you guys think about. But anyways, that's all I got for today's video and what I see the future of landscape architecture being. So be sure to hit that like button, and I will see you guys all in the next video. Have a great rest of your 2022 and see you in 2023. Peace.